What's up, Salamis? My name is Richie, and I just said that because a subscriber wanted me to say that. So never again. And today we are going to create the Ender Dragon in Fortnite Creative. But not only will it be a visual Ender Dragon, it can also function. So you can destroy it, and it can also have an attack or multiple attacks depending on how much time you want to spend on it. But I'm going to show you guys everything in this video today. So let's start off by actually building the Ender Dragon. Okay, so building the Ender Dragon is actually fairly easy, and it doesn't require really a lot of like mechanical skill in building stuff. The only thing that is a little bit harder is the wings, because it takes a little bit of time. And I would say the hardest part is the wings, but it's still not very like super hard. So I would give it like a 2 out of 10 to build the Ender Dragon. Really, the hardest part is just the wings, but even that is not too hard. You have to start off by building the main body of the Ender Dragon. It's built out of 3 big blocks. So if you build the neck, it's important that you use 5 different pieces and not one long piece, because you can obviously then turn the neck a little bit, so have it like a little blocky like it is with the actual Ender Dragon. And then the next thing is obviously building the head. Here, same thing, use a little bit bigger block than the neck. Building the eyes is probably the hardest part here. For the mouth, you just need to use 2 small squished up pieces and then just turn one down a little bit, and then you can add the little details like the nose things and the horns or whatever. So for the tail, you basically have to do the same thing with the neck. Just use like, it's about like 10 or 12 pieces that you have to use here. Same thing, it's important that you use different pieces so you can still rotate it and do stuff with it. So up next would be building the arms and the legs. The arms obviously just a smaller version of the legs. Very simple, just use the same pieces here, just copy and paste it over to the other side then, and it should be fairly easy to do that. So now comes the hardest part, and that is the wings. You have to start off by building a skeleton and then fit in these little pieces over here. I mean, the skeleton is fairly easy to build, and you can make it yourself easier if you use less sections in between the wings, but that will still look a little bit off. So using the sections in between is probably better looking, but it's also harder. So if you cannot do that, then just leave off the sections and just split it up in 2 sections. The one where it goes up and then the one that goes down. And then building the wing itself, like the actual things where they fly with, is super hard, and you have to use no grid snap for that. And it will probably still look very off, but try your best to make it as close as possible and don't give up. Trust me, it works out, but it is hard. And then the last part you have to do is just add the little horns or the things on top. And you're basically good to go. For that, you can use the same piece over and over again. Just use 2 bigger ones for the back of the dragon. And if you did all the steps correctly and it looks decent to you, obviously you can still customize it yourself a little bit. You can copy and paste the Ender Dragon. It should not have more than 100 pieces. So my Ender Dragon has like 98 pieces or so. So you can very easy copy and paste the whole thing and put it wherever you want. Put it into your hotbar and then place it obviously on top. So let's move on to the mechanics. All right, so now that you know how to build the Ender Dragon, I also added this little exit portal here. It's very simple to build. Basically, you just have to use 3 of the blocks and then just stack them randomly into each other. And then, copy and paste it, make it like a Minecraft block, and it looks super fine. But let's get to the mechanical stuff here. And that is, first of all, starting out by making the hitbox. So the hitbox is made by an objective device. You can find the objective devices. You go into galleries. It is this one right here. And then you have a full-on gallery. So if I go outside here, you quickly place this down, and then I use this right over here. I think for mobile players, this is invisible, so there is a good chance that you don't see this, but you can obviously use all of the others. You just have to do the same settings. So let's get into the settings of the objective device and the hitbox. So my hitbox has 1k health, so it takes 1000 damage to destroy the Ender Dragon. Height health bar never. It depends of if you want to see how much health the Ender Dragon has left, but you can change that to whatever you want here. Display numbers, I would turn that on so you can see the actual numbers, how much damage you give the dragon. Visible during games has to be on off, and when destroyed has to be on a channel. So this obviously depends on what you want to use, but I use channel 3. You keep that in mind if we move on. So the next thing that you have to do is obviously then destroy the dragon, and for that we are going to use the explosive device. In here you have to change a few more settings. So the blast radius is 1. You can obviously do whatever you want with the blast radius, but keep in mind that because if we set it to damage indestructible buildings, it will damage everything. So if you do it like too far or something. It could damage the exit portal or whatever. So try to keep that in a range that is not damaging anything else. Player damage to 0, structure damage to 350, doesn't matter because the blocks has basically no health. As already said, if you have indestructible things on that, you should definitely turn that to yes, because otherwise the dragon would not be destroyed. Knockback off, sound off, visible during game, obviously off, and explode when receiving from channel 3. So what this will do is basically if we destroy the objective device here on then channel 3 will transmit to all of these barrels here, and they will destroy the dragon, and yeah, we have a defeated Ender Dragon. Let's move on to the attack that the Ender Dragon can do, and I quickly turn this on for you guys so you can see what is going on here. So these are basically all the particles. This is basically the same particle used twice. You can find particles if you go into the normal galleries and then type in particles. And then you have to look for the spooky particle gallery. And here you have this particle, which I think this is, or this one over here. And you can scale them and, kind of change them so they look like the dragon's breath and obviously the asset that comes up here. So what you have to change in the actual animation here is, first of all, change the color smoke to this pinkish or purplish thing here. Motion speed to very fast, up. I don't want to read that word. I can probably mess that up. So 20% for that. Smoke tiling is 2. So that would just make it like a little bit more like, I don't know, more 3D, you can say. The motion type to ripple, enable on 1 and disable on 2. So that is important because you also don't want the dragon breath to always be there. So it will kind of disable and enable randomly. I'll show that in a second. So the next thing is then, obviously you have to then copy and paste that and turn that around because it gives a little like thickness, you can say, so that is looks a little bit more realistic. So for the dragon breath on the ground, we're going to use the same particle, but obviously stretched out. Here are just basically the same settings, but color smoke to the same thing here, very fast. You can do that a little bit higher here to 50% or so. And then basically the same settings here, enable and disable on 1 and 2. So now we also need something that can actually make damage, and for that we're going to use the damage volume. In here we have zone wide and zone depth. You can change that to whatever size you have here. So I should probably make this a little bit bigger so I can actually get hurt in this area as well. And then also the zone height to 0.5. Doesn't really matter too much, but I like it if it's like compact. Damage type is important, damage over time. Then the damage I have 5, but you can obviously change that to whatever you want. And then same here, enable and disable on 1 and 2. So that's great. But obviously now this will just be off, right? There will not be any damage. And it basically is just there. So we have to actually make a mechanic that kind of randomly activates. And for that, we obviously going to use the Rng Device and a music sequencer. First of all, setting up the Rng Device. In here, basically, all you have to change is value limit to 2, value limit 2 to 2, winning value to 2, the roll time to 4 seconds, but that obviously depends on you. So how long you want to have in between those dragon breath, you can say. Then the zone to forward, length to 2, play audio to obviously no, and then cancel when receiving from channel 3. So if the Ender Dragon gets destroyed, you remember, then this will get cancelled and will stop kind of doing stuff. In here, you just need 2 trigger devices, nothing too special. Just disable the sound and VFX and put in channel 1 and channel 2. So what this will do is basically just pick one of these 2. So 2 is obviously disable and 1 is enable. So it just picks in 4-second tags or ticks between these 2 channels and then turns the dragon breath on or off. And that is completely random because obviously it chooses whatever it wants. And then also to loop this, I have music sequencer or a sequencer here. Change the looping to infinite, length to 2. Then that is obviously, it doesn't matter. And then activate on game start, that is important. Or yeah, activating game start is just important here. And then stop, same thing here. It needs to stop when the dragon gets destroyed. And that is basically it. Now you can also give the your player like a bow or whatever. You can do that with them, but it's obviously common sense. So there's one last thing which you have to add, and there's a trigger that basically turns off if for example, the dragon breath is on when we are killing the dragon, disables that. So just put in a channel, put in trigger when receiving from channel 3, which is when we kill the dragon, and then put in channel 2 to disable all the stuff. Yeah, that is basically all you have to do to create the Ender Dragon. Now you can go in here and start the game and can try it out. Obviously, if you want to create a cooler terrain than I did here, obviously free to do that. So now you can see you can shoot the Ender Dragon, you can attack it, and you can see that what I just said, that I didn't really make the damage volume far enough, so it still looks like I'm in the asset, but I'm not getting any damage. If I move a little bit further here, I can actually get damage and stay here and shoot at the dragon and, you know, kind of kill the dragon. So, yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that video. Hopefully you can build your own Ender Dragon, make your own Minecraft world in Fortnite or something. And, yeah, with that being said, hopefully see you guys back in the next video. And leave a like, subscribe, and bye.